Hey good people, and welcome back to the channel. In a few moments, I'll have the privilege and honor of sharing my thoughts and feelings on the season premiere of Married at First Sight Nashville. It's quite a bit to cover, but I will be giving a brief overview of what you could expect if you have not seen the episode yet. I'll also be changing things up by giving an overall rating for the episode, and I will spend the remainder of the video giving my thoughts on the couples for the episode and how well I see them meshing with one another. But before we get into things, if you're new to the channel and you like the content, then feel free to hit that subscribe button. Subscribing helps keep you in the loop with my new content, and it also helps me grow as a YouTuber. So without any further delay, let's jump right in. Now over the course of this 2-hour premiere, I'll say that our time as a viewing audience was wasted. We get to see the cast members breaking the news of being on the show to their friends and family. We see all the men meeting one another and doing some Q&As, and the women do the same thing. We get to see Shaq and Kiersten getting fitted for their wedding attire. We get to see the men going to their bachelor party and the women going to their bachelorette party, which I have to mention was the wildest set of parties that I've seen in Married at First Sight history. But towards the final 10 minutes of the episode, we see Shaq and Kiersten getting ready for their wedding, and during this time, Shaq is getting a little emotional. But like I said in my previous video, Shaq reminds me of Justin from San Diego when it comes to being sensitive. However, I think one of the major differences between Justin and Shaq is that Shaq is a little bit more level-headed than him. Now, true to Married at First Sight fashion, the episode ends right before Kiersten walks down the aisle to meet Shaq. Now, on a scale of 1 to 10, I will give this episode a solid 3. It was a huge waste of time, as I previously stated, and in my opinion, there's absolutely no reason why the show couldn't have fit at least 3 weddings in this episode. And if you have not seen the episode yet, then I would strongly advise you to treat it like a bill collector and avoid it. Now let's move on to these cast members. First, I want to talk about Kiersten and Shaq. Now, if I ever had any doubt that these two would say yes on decision day, then this episode essentially solidified my fears for the couple. Let's start with Kiersten. And I'll be blunt in saying that she's by far one of the most physically attractive women to ever appear on Married at First Sight. Hands down, the booty that's attached to her lets you not only know that God is real, but that she's been eating a steady diet of cornbread, neck bones, collard greens, and catfish. However, the issue that I see with Kiersten being on the show like this is that she has extremely high standards for the guy that she wants to be with. Some of these standards include her being with a man that's a certain height, is physically attractive, has nice teeth, has a tallywhacker that's the size of her liking, and somebody who has a personal relationship with God. Now don't get me wrong, Kiersten is within her right to want these things from a man. But when she signed up for a show like this, she should have known that these experts usually don't pair cast members who find each other mutually attractive and have several things in common. In this episode alone, Kiersten shares that she has a history of not giving guys a chance, and she really doesn't want a guy that's bald-headed. Yet lo and behold, she's been matched with a guy that has a bald head. And there's a chance that Shaq may also fail to meet her expectations. Kiersten even had the nerve to say that if she isn't feeling the man that she's about to marry, then she'll allow him to kiss her on the cheek. This just lets me further know that good looks are not everything. But then we have Shaq, who seems like a nice guy, but he definitely does not seem like the alpha male protector that Kiersten is looking for. He shared that dating has been a challenge because he's always been in long-distance relationships, which makes me wonder, does Shaq have any experience dealing with local women, or at least living with them? Because if he doesn't, then Shaq may be in for a rude awakening with this marriage to Kiersten. When it's all said and done, I firmly believe that Shaq will be attracted to Kiersten, but I don't think that he has the backbone to stand up to her when needed. And I also think that he'll be so infatuated with Kiersten that if she told him to jump, he would ask how high. But I think that Kiersten will either physically tap out or mentally check out well before the end of the season. Now, unfortunately, their marriage wasn't the only train wreck that I saw on the horizon. During the matchmaking episode, I strongly thought that Domynique and Mack had a great chance of being together. That is, if Mack found her physically attractive. But after this episode, I have major concerns. With Domynique, there are concerns of her maturity and willingness to do what is necessary to be a wife to Mack. We see this several times throughout the episode as Domynique shares how she would like to have a girls' night out with her friends. which might be a little difficult if she's trying to build a genuine relationship with her husband. But during the bachelorette party, we also see Domynique living her best single life as she's flirting with the stripper and allowing the stripper to take a shot from her cleavage. I don't know about any of you, but my spider sense is tingling on this one. Then we have Mack, who is an admitted introvert who dropped out of college to start his own business. Mack is nearly 10 years older, and he's lived through his wild times already. Now, Mack claims that he wants a woman that can bring him out of his shell, but I don't think that Mack is on Domynique's level of adventure. And with Mack wanting to be physically attracted to his wife, he's also somebody that loves hard, and I'm not sure if Domynique will reciprocate the type of love that Mack wants or needs from her. But we shall see. Now, this next couple has some red flags, but not as many as the first two. We have Nicole and Chris. And just like I said in my previous video, Nicole reminds me of Kiersten from last season. Nicole has a big personality, she's sassy, has a dog, and claims that she has a big heart. I think that Nicole also compares to Kiersten in that she seems that she's willing to meet her husband more than halfway to make the marriage work, despite her being very opinionated and particular about what she wants from her husband. Now, there was one red flag that I noticed, and that was when Nicole mentioned that she wanted a husband that had a personality that could match hers. And even Stevie Wonder could see that Chris does not have that kind of personality. But let's talk about Chris for a moment. He does seem like a nice guy. He wants to make people laugh, and he tells bad jokes and does bad impressions. But he has some red flags of his own. As he wants a woman with an athletic body, despite not being athletic himself, and he hasn't had sex in over a year. Now, it has been some time since Nicole has been with a man, but from her conduct at the bachelor party, it seems like Nicole is ready to get that good old pickle tickle in an expeditious manner. But I don't think that Chris has the confidence to give her that beef injection in such a manner that will make her respect him. I think, like Kiersten, Nicole will feel some type of way if she finds out that Chris does not live up to her expectations in the bedroom. Next up, there's Jasmine and Airris. And after giving this couple a second look, I really want them to succeed because they appear to have the best chance of succeeding. What I admire about Jasmine is that she seems down to earth. She seems like somebody who does not allow her looks to alter her attitude like Kiersten does, and she actually has realistic expectations on what she's looking for in a man. With her coaching 6 days a week, I do wonder if she has time for a husband, let alone building a relationship with a complete stranger. And with her having 4 dogs, I'm not sure if Airris will be able to handle all of them. But then we have Airris, who gives off red flags every time he talks. I think the biggest red flag was that he had sex 2 weeks prior to filming the episode, which likely means that he has a smash buddy on speed dial should he and Jasmine ever fall out at any point during their time together. But I also wonder how Jasmine would feel about Airris once she watches the episode, assuming that Airris doesn't tell her beforehand. But I think the biggest red flag with Airris was how his cousin showed zero support for him during the process, and she told him not to get married. I think Airris is a grown man, and this is a decision that he has thought out. If he wants to do it, then she should support him along the way. But in my opinion, sowing seeds of doubt in Airris may in turn end up hurting Jasmine in the long run. But outside of that, I like Jasmine as a cast member for the show. And lastly, we have Gina and Clint. And after watching this episode, I give them 0% chance of lasting past decision day. Now, the more I heard Gina talk during the episode, the more she came off as a white version of Stasha from last season. I mean, she is her own businesswoman, she's a boss chick, and she thinks that men are intimidated by her money. Well, Clint has money. He also is his own boss, and the more he talked throughout this episode, the more I wonder why he was even on the show like this. I'm wondering whether he just lost a bet, or he signed up for the show because he was bored. Because he comes off as a free spirit who's just along for the ride. And while I think that Gina and Clint can match each other's spontaneous nature, I think that with Gina being into makeup and Clint being attracted to natural women, I don't see there being a natural spark between the two of them. At least not well enough to make them stay together past decision day. I also don't see Gina altering who she is to please Clint, but we shall see. And this marks the end of my review. Now, if you have any questions or comments related to my review or the episode, feel free to leave them below in the comment section, and I'll be sure to reply to everybody. Until next time, stay tuned and stay safe. Peace.